Welcome to the Kim B. Davis Show. Here we'll talk to the leaders in technology, culture, business, and the arts. We'll cover politics, advocacy, motherhood, writing, mental health, and mostly we'll focus on hope. Join Kim B. Davis, author, playwright, radio personality, event consultant, professional speaker on the Kim B. Davis Show.
Welcome to the Kim B. Davis Show. I'm your host, Kim B. Davis, and this evening we have Kelly Greene, author, philosopher, and blogger. Good evening, Kelly. How are you?
Good evening and Happy New Year, Kim. Great to see you again.
Happy New Year to you as well. You know, it's been a while since you've been on the show, but we have so much to talk about. I want to start off because our topic for tonight is resetting and setting the tone for our year. It is 2021. We survived 2020. I know a lot of us were like, oh my goodness, this year has just dragged on.
Yes.
And then January 6th rolled around. So before we get to talking about resetting our year and setting the tone for our year, share with me your thoughts on what you saw on January 6th and what it means for us as Americans.
Well, I've been saying this for a long time. What we saw Wednesday was just the latest episode of what I call the established America rebelling against a Black president. And what I mean by that is America, well, I heard it, and I'm quite sure you've heard it in your time too, back in the day. A lot of people believe there will never be a Black president. They said that white America would never allow that. Well, that happened. And Trump was their way of trying to erase that. What we saw Wednesday, it was basically them saying that this election was rigged because Kamala Harris, Black vice president, and if you looked at Biden's team, it's a very diverse team. This is what I call white privilege fighting its last battle, and they're trying to hold on to every bit of white privilege they can, because it's very, what we're looking at is a turning point in our country on race relations, and Biden's election go a long way towards that. And what we saw Wednesday is them retaliating towards that. It was not about the election. It was not about supporting Trump. This is white privilege trying to reestablish itself.
You just said a mouthful. And so I understand absolutely where you're coming from, that this was a response to America electing Barack Obama as president. However, Donald Trump, really, as the answer to the nation's ills. I mean, this is a president who has been married 3 times. He has had an affair on every wife. He has had children outside of marriage. This is a person who never made any mention of going to church until he ran for office. This is a person who, during his presidency, when he needed to make a message, he cleared an area with protesters out using military force, aggressive police tactics, and marched across the street with generals behind him to a church and held up a Bible. We joke and say, has he ever read the Bible? Most people, if they are Christian or Muslim or Jewish or whatever it is, and they practice that faith, they typically have a scripture that they will repeat to say, this is what helps to get me through the day, or this is the relationship that I have with my creator, all those different types of things. We don't hear any of that. What I hear is people saying, oh, we have grace back in the White House. We have intelligence back in the White House. And I'm just trying to figure out where, because when we saw the Obamas, we saw two African American descendants, or at least one from slavery. We know that Michelle Obama, her family, had descended from slavery. Not sure about President Obama. However, we saw two Ivy League educated people. We saw an author, we saw a Black woman with lots of accolades and titles. And they had only been married to each other. There was no scandal. Their children were born in wedlock. So all the things that America preaches, that it wants to be moral and that it wants to be a leader and it wants the best, how do we go from President Obama to Donald Trump?
Well, that's the Republican Party. Look at the movie The Dark Knight by Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
A great movie, and that movie kind of mirrors what just happened. The Republican Party turned to somebody that they didn't fully understand and couldn't control.
Mm-hmm.
Much like in the movie Dark Knight, the mob turned to the Joker.
Yes.
This was the same thing. The Republican Party figured they had John Trump was most money having, boisterous, vocal, plus he's rich and white.
Mm-hmm.
So he was everything that Obama was not. So they figured, boom, we hit him hard on being not Obama. It's shooing. Plus, it's Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did, they didn't quite understand Trump and didn't quite know they could control him. And now they know they can't control him, and the cat's out the bag. And it's pretty much taking the whole Republican Party down with him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's interesting that you brought up Dark Knight, because I have been using that as a metaphor for what's going on, because the Joker, that version of the Joker, just wants to see the world burn.
Right. Absolutely.
He doesn't care about the money. He doesn't care about control. He just wants chaos. And when you have a villain like that, even in a movie, it's scary. It's off-putting. Yes, it adds another layer that an actor can play. However, when you see it play out in real life, you're like, wait. This isn't a movie screen. We can't yell cut and go, okay, it's a wrap. And everybody go home and we think we're okay. Right. Where do you see us as Americans? How do we go from here? Because I watched the House impeachment hearings. I got a chance to view a little bit of it while I was working today. And it was interesting. Some of the arguments for impeachment and a lot of the arguments against impeachment. And of course, it fell along partisan lines. However, it was just interesting to hear the tone of what was happening. And it was almost as if people did not remember that just a week ago, people came in with guns and zip ties and IED bombs, pipe bombs, to create harm and havoc and chaos and stop the certification of an election.
Well, you got to look at America in the social media age. We have an 8-second attention span. Mm-hmm. So what the Republican Party is really trying to capitalize on is, once the 8 seconds is over, feed them something else. Mm-hmm. And when you see the hearings and you hear Republican rhetoric trying to skirt around the issue, that's them trying to put in a rearview mirror. If you watch Fox News lately, Fox News is very Republican, very pro-Trump, very partisan in their journalism, which I use the word journalism loosely when it comes down to Fox News. So if you read that, if you watch that, you watch the other side of the playbook. And their rhetoric is very, that was then. It's on saving Trump now. And I think the Republican Party, you got some that's trying to save Trump and save the party, but they just don't know how much of a hole they can really dig themselves into.
Absolutely. We still have 7 or 8 days left until inauguration. I know a lot of people have said that the inauguration should be a closed private event just for the safety. Do you agree that we need to continue on and sort of show strength in the face of all the things that are going on? Or do you believe that for the safety of the candidates, President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris, that we need to do different measures?
Well, let's look at it this way. Going back to your question about where you see us going for as as Americans in the future,
Mm-hmm.
this is where it starts. Yes, we must be bold and resilient to threats and terrorism. However, we cannot just sit by and act like terrorism is not around. We just can't ignore that fact. So yes, we should be very vigilant and take precautions and put on a great show and really show strength during the inauguration. And I think the speeches and the people who will be there have to show that and in their own little way show the strength.
That's a great answer, and I agree with you very much on that. I want to ask you one last question, and then we're gonna go into our topic. For African Americans and Black people who are watching this and who are angry because we're like, if these were Black people, African Americans who had stormed the Capitol, as we saw this summer when Black Lives Matter protests were going around the country, and you had militarized vehicles and police officers and rubber bullets and riot gear and just aggressive tactics, what would you tell Black America today if you had an audience to say how should we view this?
First of all, we shouldn't overreact. I think using this as a rallying cry is not really the time for it. We should use this as a teaching moment. We have to teach America the difference between how we're treated and how they're treated. And I think that Wednesday shed a ton of light on that. And we can't overreact and just beat it, everybody's mentality. We have to really take that message and go on our way and say, hey, and show the video of Black Lives Matter protests and show the video of last Wednesday.
Mhm.
Put them side by side and really asking the question, how can you let this go on? Don't be mad about it. Be logical thinking about it and really explain it to them and show them side by side. How can you allow these two differences of ways of life continue? And I think if you look at the Bible, it always says a house divided cannot stand.
Yes.
So ask people, how can you stand with us? How can we stand as Americans? We have two separate incidents, two separate things here going on with the treatment of people dealing with the color of their skin. We cannot have that.
Well said. Well said. All right. So let's talk about mental health because mental health is still a big issue. And just as you said, which was a great segue, let's not overreact because a lot of people were upset and a lot of people were getting drawn into it. And as I was telling people, but we know this. And the question is, where do we go from here? And we really need to have some substantive conversations on, how to move forward. But we need to take the emotionalism out of it. And one of the things that I really want people to be able to do, it is 2021. We are still in pandemic. COVID is still raging. It's mutating and changing, and now we have a vaccine, and they're trying to roll it out. Some people are having severe symptoms or symptoms. Other people are not. So you have all different types of issues. We have places around our nation like Las Vegas and Los Angeles, which are really, really hit hard. And some places they don't even have the medical equipment to be able to deal with the current situation. So with all of that, how do you take some time and reset your situation in January and set the tone for your year where you are not bogged down mentally by everything that you see around you, like you said, in social media, every 8 seconds, there's a new story. And you don't want that to bleed over where it impacts your life.
Well, I tell everybody, expect to spill over from last year. Expect it. Yeah, it's New Year, but it's gonna be some same old stuff. Expect that. Don't try to fight it all at once. Pick your battles. I always tell everyone around me when it comes down to being stressed out about the atmosphere they're in, the political climate, the work environment. I tell them, don't fight all the battles at one time. Fight one of them. And if you're successful at that one battle, all of them might fall in line.
Great point. Now, do you have like a list of tips and tools that you share or that you use? I know we had talked about that.
Right, right. Well, I always say break the year down in sections. Your first year, expect to spill over. I mean, if I say like the first 4 months, like from January to like April, expect some spillover and some adjustments. Because again, you're gonna have to adjust your lifestyle from last year,
Mhm.
depending on how far COVID's getting along, how far, we get vaccines and whatnot, and things slowly getting open. The second part of your year is your takeoff. Now, you're not gonna succeed at takeoff all the time. Or I say take in increments. You just gotta creep up into it, ramping up. You're gonna start try some new things. It's gonna get a little warmer outside. You wanna go outside, get some air, and also take care of your physical health. And I say that because in the wintertime, you're not active enough, you're not getting out, you're sitting in the house, it's cold. That part of the springtime, get outside, get you some activity. Great for your physical health and your mental health. Then you go to summer. Summer, everybody's active, you're gonna want to take a trip. Now, usually, depending on how COVID is, you not want to go everywhere. Go take small trips, mentally clearing trips. You don't have to go overseas all week. Sometimes you need to get a weekend getaway. I bought myself a tent. I'm gonna go camping.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I bought myself a tent. So I go out in the woods, I go to campsite, I go by a lake. Me and my lady, we sit down and we we get into nature and away from civilization. Now, in the latter part of the year, your October, November, that September and October, November, that's when you want to look at what you've done and assess your previous months.
Mhm.
So that's going to tell you what you do for 2022. So just take those things into consideration. Plan your year out by quarter, first 4 months, next 4 months, and the 4 months after. And that will give you some baselines how you have a successful year and really not take on everything at once, little things at a time.
I think that's excellent advice. I want to go back to a couple of things that you said. So
Mhm.
you talked about getting in nature and you talked about how you bought a tent for yourself and you can basically unplug. I think that's a great reminder to us all. Social media, it, as you said, every 8 seconds, it is ever
Right.
continuous. It never stops. The news cycle is 24 hours a day. And if you really watch a news cycle for 24 hours a day and how many different stories and versions of the same story that like for the House impeachment, it is on rotation and you can basically hear the same information over and over again, but spun a little bit differently by a particular journalist. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. However, if you have anxiety, if you are prone to depression or any of those things, that can take you to a place that you don't necessarily want to be. So being able to unplug, being able to plan your year out, being able to assess, I think are wonderful things or wonderful pieces of advice that you can give people. One of the things that I've incorporated is I have a Christian planner. And I tell everybody, you have to prepare, you have to plan, you got to organize your thoughts. and figure out how you're going to achieve whatever it is that you set your goals for the year. But one of the things that I did is I created or I came up with a word for me. And for me, I have a strong relationship with God, so I prayed about it. And one of the words that came to me was confidence, believing in myself. And so if you are a person who has been struggling and you are looking to leap forward into a project or whatever it is, that's something that you can work on. 2020 was a year where many of us saw maturity and growth. There was mental stress. However, we grew from that. And in 2021, you should be reaping the fruits of that. Hopefully, you're seeing it.
Right. Well, think about it. I tell about 2020. You went through a ton of stuff. We all went through a ton of stuff in 2020. We lost a ton of people in 2020. Wherever, and I hate to, it's one of those cliche things that people hate to hear. Wherever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
As much stuff as we went through in 2020, 2021, you should be stronger.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel yourself being stronger, that's when I say get therapy or get yourself a notebook. This is just one of, I think I got like 7 of them, and just start journaling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that whatever kind of built you up in 2020 and all the stuff you've been through in 2020, you start journaling and talking to a therapist, that puts everything together for you.
Mm-hmm.
That gives you a line of sight that you can follow. And trust me, once you get on that point, you can accomplish quite a bit.
And you are absolutely right. I have friends who journal, and I know we talked about this, and you were like, journaling helped me, Kim. And I was just like, yeah, but journaling, it sort of becomes another thing that you have to do. But when you're going through something and you get to write your thoughts down and you get them out of your head, you do feel better. And, it's great to have a therapist, somebody to help you, talk with you and help walk you through that process. But one of the things that I really think that people have to do is we have to learn how to use the tools that are in front of us.
Exactly. We don't have, the thing about journaling gets whatever's in you out of you and on paper. Sometimes when I journal, I say I got like, I'll show you, I got this journal, I got this one, I got like 7 journals I keep just for different things. Because sometimes if you don't get it out of you, it will sit in you and fester and it'll nag at you.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get it out, you can see it, read it, do something about it. I think even Steve Harvey said before he became famous, he sit there and he wrote everything out. Get it out of you. It
Mm-hmm.
might make you rich or make you, help you out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people who were stressed last year was because they were holding a lot of stuff in. They were holding thoughts in. You were having stress at work because you were trying to figure out, do I go into the office or do I work from home? Is my position going to last past this pandemic, or are they now talking about outsourcing or even getting rid of my position? Because there were people who lost their jobs because of that. Now I'm at home with my family, and whether you're married, living with someone, whatever, you have other people in your house and everybody's trying to do the same thing, get online and do whatever it is that they do during the day, and it becomes stressful. And then just the constant fact that you are on lockdown, that there really aren't a lot of places for you to go. It's really not safe for us to be around a lot of people. So the outlets that you would normally have, like going to a concert or going to dinner or going to the theater or any of those things, or even some places in nature, like, you might want to take a trip someplace, but you can't take a trip because COVID numbers might be too high. And, a lot of places where like Americans can't come. So then you're just stuck at home. And I hate to say stuck at home because we were sheltering safely at home. However, some people were looking at it, I'm just here. I don't know what to do. I'm overwhelmed. And it's because you've got all that stuff inside of you and you haven't let it out.
Right, absolutely. And think about it, my girlfriend and I, we was talking about this like not even a week ago, how being together during COVID and quarantine together really cemented our relationship. We weren't like, of course, we couldn't go out on dates and do whatever, but we sat and had very deep and consistent conversation about a variety of things. You can't look at being confined in a certain space as being confined. You have to say, well, I'm in a space. What can I do with it?
Mhm.
And think about it. You can find so much more about yourself when you really look into yourself instead of going outside to help build you up. Start from within and build yourself out.
That is a great way to end our podcast. I want you really quickly, Kelly, to go back over your year-long advice to people.
All right. Here's a year long advice: 4 quarters, just like a football game. You got to win all 4 quarters. First quarter, your January to April. That's when you're going to spill over from 2020. You're going to do some adjusting. You're going to do some, like, it's all your reading, your research, your building, your material gathering. This, and plus, since, the first few couple of months you're indoors, this is when you first start, getting the steam together. The second quarter, your springtime, that's when you start to emerge, you start to get yourself together, start to ramp up the energy. Because once things start to get warmer, you're gonna start venturing out, you start going places. A lot of research that you did in the beginning, you start to put into effect. Then your summer, this is when you're gonna relax, take your trips. You don't have to, dealing with COVID, you don't have to go far out for a trip. You can go a weekend getaway. Like I say, I bought myself a tent. I'll be going camping. That's my getaway. I unplug, I refresh, I release, clear my mind. Then you talk about your fourth quarter. The most important quarter is September, October, November, December. This is when you took your accumulation for the whole year and you see what you've done with yourself. And also, this is where, towards that November, December, you take what you've done the whole year and you start to map out 2022. That way, you have a whole year of information on you. You've invested in your mind, your body, your work. Then you take it to the next level in 2022.
Excellent, Kelly Greene. Tell us how we can reach you and tell us where you are on social media.
Like I said, I'm everywhere. I'm on Facebook at Kelly G Live. This is my Twitter handle here. Also, Saturday mornings on the Wake Up Morning Radio Show. I'll be broadcasting live. WHPR Highland Park. I got
Congratulations.
thank you. I got some great co-hosts. We act up. We had a very serious show last week on molestation. It was real deep. A lot of people got a lot of good help. And this week, I don't know, we're gonna just jump in the studio and have some fun. Also, you can find my blog, soulfulpages.com. I got some really interesting stuff on there. Also, I have new content coming up very, very soon. Oh, also, one more thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, Hollins, happiness ain't everything. I'm helping her out with that. I've got little small parts here and there. Look out for it. It's very great. I will post to YouTube her first movie, the first episode actually,
Yeah.
is on YouTube. I'll be posting that again this weekend.
Excellent, excellent. And we here at the Kim B. Davis Show, we love to talk to Fiat Hollins. She is
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah, yeah. She's an awesome, awesome script writer, and I think a lot of women are going to get a lot out of happiness and everything. But I think we as men, when we watch this movie, we're going to learn a lot about women that we need to know.
And that is half the battle because knowledge is power. Did you tell
Absolutely.
us how we can email you? Can we reach you by email?
Oh, absolutely. Email me at Motor City Green. That's Motor City Green, spelled Greene. Don't forget the E and the green. Email me. I'll reach out if you need help with mental illness. You need a therapist. I have some resources. I'll be glad to share them.
Motor City Green at what?
Gmail.com.
Very good. Thank you so much, Kelly Greene, for coming on and for talking with us. I know that we'll be talking again before the end of the year. Hopefully, you know what we could do is do a check-in each quarter and see how
Absolutely.
things are going.
Absolutely, yes. We can set that up first, after first quarter. Look, if you're watching first quarter, read, research, gather your materials, put your plan in motion now. Because after the next show, after first quarter, hopefully you email me some things so we can talk about it. Maybe I'll have things together what I've done, and I'll show you how we can all do this together.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to follow part of your plan. I like it. I'm going to incorporate that into what I'm doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm happy here. Can't wait till the results.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kelly, for being on the Kim B. Davis Show. We appreciate you being here. It is Happy New Year. I'm so glad that we were able to make it through 2020, and now we are here at 2021. Thank you guys for watching the Kim B. Davis Show. We appreciate your support in continuing to watch us and follow us. And we hope that on our next episode that you'll join us again. And as always, remember, be magnificent.